In this video we'll be traveling from Zouying in the south of Taiwan, what is at this moment the terminal station for the high-speed trains, to Taitung along the east coast in the southeast of Taiwan. We're traveling along the South Link railway line in Taiwan, and this railway journey is absolutely stunning. I will tell you all about that in this video. We'll be traveling on board of a EMU 3000 train that also has a higher class. And guess what? We'll be traveling on board of that today. So join us on this Tze-chiang express train in Taiwan. Not where I'm at right now, because right now I'm in the Netherlands. But for now, let's get this video on the track. And let's roll the intro. My baby likes trains, by the way. Can't stop looking at them. Before we dive into all of this, let's take a close look on the route map for today. We depart from Zouying and we head to Taitung. This is not in a straight line due to the geography of Taiwan, because there are quite steep and high mountains in between. And therefore, this is also a really scenic journey and there are quite some tunnels along the way. And like pretty much all my videos, I start off by showing you the station. Normally this is the station where we're departing from, but in this situation it's the station where we will arrive for this railway journey. We were staying in a hotel right next to the railway station, what is perfect. However, the town of Taitung is not really close to here. You have to travel by bus or by taxi. After the completion of the South Link railway line, where we'll be also traveling on today, the railway station has been, well, put in this area over here, where the old railway station is in the city center of Taitung. Around this area there is some activity though. You do find some scooter rental companies, some hotels and even some restaurants, even though it's not that much compared to the city center that at the moment I was here was really alive and, well, just hustling and bustling. But I understood that this is not always the case. Even though I've been several times to Taiwan, this is my first time getting out at this railway station. Normally I passed by, even though I really feel like I haven't spent enough time around here. Anyway, at the front of the railway station, you obviously find a bus stop. Since this area of Taiwan is pretty rural, buses might be very, well, important to go from and to the railway station, and especially from and to the city center. Public transportation, especially in smaller towns, is not always that good, but my personal experience is that there is pretty much always public transportation available, what is very nice. And also taxis are here, well, there are plenty of them over here as you can see here. Within the bus area there are some waiting areas and this is all covered. What might be very useful because Taiwan can be very hot, and if it's very sunny, well, you like to have some shade as well. And also, Taiwan can be very wet. I mean, we are in a tropical climate over here, what also comes with the necessary rain. And thanks to that rain, Taiwan is a beautiful and green country. My wife is originally from here and I'm very lucky that she's from this place because I really like Taiwan. It's a beautiful place to go to every now and then with beautiful nature and great food. Between the bus stop and the taxi stand area and the railway station itself, there are some public toilets. And there is another bike rental company. But don't forget U-Bike, what is the bike sharing program you find a lot in Taiwan and is located a little bit at the front of the railway station. If you move to the front, you also find the pick-up and drop-off zone for railway passengers by car, by the way. Like within many Taiwanese railway stations, you also find a tourist information point, and this is located at the concourse right at the front of the railway station. Apart from that, over here you find plenty of shops. I really like that there are some artworks and objects that refer to the Aboriginal culture here in Taiwan. Percentage-wise, the number of population within this area of Taiwan that are Aboriginals is the highest within this area of Taiwan. Even though my wife is originally from Taiwan and her family, both her mother and her father's side, is already living in Taiwan before the Chiang Kai-shek movement came to Taiwan, she is not an Aboriginal, even though she does speak some Hakka. What is the language that's being used for the Aboriginal people in Taiwan? If we move a little bit closer to the railroad tracks, we get out at this area over here, what's basically the main concourse. There are some ticket counters and vending machines for train tickets, and there are clear screens with information about departing trains from here. Also, some quite comfortable waiting rooms are located at this area. It's basically not a waiting room, but quite comfortable chairs within the main concourse. Another convenience store is located within this area as well. When it comes to buying tickets for Taiwanese trains, this is relatively easy. There are ticket counters at pretty much all railway stations, and you also find vending machines. However, you can also book these tickets easily online, but what I don't really like about the online environment is that you do not get a confirmation email. You just book your tickets, you get your reservation number, and if you forget to save it or whatever, basically you lost it. There are quite some screens with information about departing trains from here. From and to the platforms you do find access gates. You just need to scan your ticket and then these access gates will open for you. If you're traveling with the use of an easy card, that's possible as well, but only for regional trains. After you went through the gates, in terms of facilities, there's not that much. Directions have been marked pretty well, and information about departing trains has been given pretty clear. This information is not only in Mandarin Chinese, but also in English. A tunnel is linking you to the railway platforms. Take into account, in Taiwan, they name the platforms, and these are different than tracks. One platform can host several tracks, what is the case pretty much at all platforms in this railway station. Also, what way to go to for what cars has been mentioned pretty clear before you go to the platform. But even though this is mentioned, there are no elevators at all sides of the platform. You do find escalators though to all directions, but elevators there's only one and that's in the middle area. Well, that makes sense though. In terms of accessibility, train traveling in Taiwan is relatively easy, and I'm talking from an experience point of view because we were traveling with the baby for some journeys as well, even though this journey was without our baby. But of course, accessibility with a push car is different than in a wheelchair, so I can't tell you that's how it is with a wheelchair from my own experience, and I hope to keep it this way. At the platform, you do find some information screens about departing trains, but honestly there's not that much at the platforms themselves. What you do find though are some letters at the platform that will indicate what carriage of the long distance trains will be where at the platform. Long distance trains in Taiwan do pretty much always come including a seat reservation. And if it's not with a seat reservation, there are some cars that can be for non-reserved passengers. Take into account on busy days and especially last minute, trains might be fully booked. So yeah, my advice is to book your tickets a little bit more in advance. I know this can be a little bit annoying sometimes, but just do it. It can save you a lot of pain. Anyway, even though this is not the train I took to here, this is a train I took from here. This is the train type that we'll also be taking for this railway journey, and these are the EMU 3000 trains. These trains are no high-speed trains, but honestly I think I found these trains the most comfortable long-distance trains you can find in Taiwan. Before we take a closer look at the interior, let's discover the exterior of these trains. And to be honest, these trains are pretty clean, there's not that much to tell about. And also when I did this, I accidentally had my camera in a cinematic mode, so this is why you have the black bars at the top and the bottom of the screen. Anyway, at the side of the train, right next to the entrance doors, you do find the carriage numbers. Right below that, you can see what seats can be entered best in that carriage if you take that door. This to avoid congestion within the train if the passengers are boarding. And you also find digital screens at the side of the train that will host some extra information as well. Like the train number, the final destination, some stops along the way. And basically all screens were saying that this is a reserved car. Even though I also understood that there are some tests with non-reserved cars along some routes as well, just like you can find on the high-speed trains in Taiwan. If you know more about this, please let me know in the comments. These trains do not have a dining car, but there is a trolley service available. Within the middle of the train, you do find the so-called business class. Well, in terms of business class, I tried to buy these tickets by the ticket counters as well for 2 times, and 2 times the staff didn't understood this. The second time when I said this and the staff didn't understood this, I said like I want to have in the first class, and apparently they gave me a reservation in carriage number 1. I don't know if this is related to what I said or not, but yeah, maybe if you want to buy these business class tickets, just say to the staff that you want the higher class and maybe use Google Translate if you buy your tickets at the counter. But for none of the journeys I've made along this trip, I was traveling on peak hours and, well, popular travel days, so this is why I bought these tickets last minute at the ticket counters. The top speed for these trains is 130 km per hour. For the 5% of the world population that's not using the metrical system, that is 81 miles per hour. This is not really fast, but also take into account that these trains do operate along narrow gauge railway lines. The mainline trains in Taiwan do operate on railroad tracks that are 1067 mm wide, where the standard gauge is 1435 mm, and that can be found along the high-speed line and along quite some metro lines in Taiwan. This is basically the same as in Japan. Also, when it comes to rolling stock, signage and basically the whole infrastructure for the railroads, this is very similar to Japan. Well, before I show you the interior of this train, I hope you like this video so far, or that it's a helpful video to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. And if you'd like to see more trip reports or more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. For now, let's continue with this video. For this journey we were traveling in business class, or first class, just how I want to mention it, but it's mentioned as business class here in Taiwan. This comes including some extras, like a snack and a drink. And someone came by to overhand this right after departure from our station. You also get a napkin that's branded with the EMU 3000, so that's this specific train type. I mean, it's really nice, and apart from that, there is also a trolley service available from where you can buy some snacks and drinks. Don't always expect meals, but on some services you can find bento boxes as well, and on some services you can also buy this in advance. If it's worth the money to travel in business class, that's totally up to you, but the seats are wider and more comfortable, and it's in general a little bit more quiet as well. I made this journey with my parents, so therefore we decided to travel in business class. Just it's their first time in Taiwan and, well, maybe also their last time, I don't know, so let's do it in a good way. And we are fortunate enough that we can afford this. Even though we're definitely not rich, I wouldn't consider my family poor either. Anyway, business class is located in the middle of the train at carriage number 6. Right next to the business class, you do find a small cabin for the train manager that's located on the left from where I am right now. At all carriages, you do find some maps as well with some information about the carriages and basic layout. And the seats, that doesn't only count for business class, but for basically all comfort categories on board of these trains, so also for the standard class, or facing into the driving direction. Because these seats can be turned around, you also have an overwhelming amount of legroom. You can't complain because of this. Actually, the distance between me and the seat in front of me is a bit too much maybe. Maybe it would even be nice if I can pull the table a little bit more towards me. Integrated within the luggage racks, you do find reading lights, and right above the windows the seat numbers are mentioned. These seats can be reclined, and that's pretty comfortable to be honest. Apart from the luggage racks, seat numbers are located right at the top edge of the seats as well. This is also in braille, so it works for blind people as well, even though I think it will be a challenge to find this. Because these seats can be turned around, if you want to face each other, this is possible as well, even though I have to say in that specific situation, the amount of legroom is not that great to be honest, as you can see over here. At the side of these trains you do find cup holders, by the way. And all seats do have a magazine rack. Something else you will find at all seats in all comfort categories is a map of the train that will also indicate what facilities are located where. And these are long distance trains, so people do travel with a lot of luggage as well. Therefore, you do not only find the overhead luggage racks that are pretty good within these trains, by the way, but also there are dedicated luggage areas in the open compartments and at the back end of the seat, so basically at the last row that's not facing into the driving direction, you can store some luggage as well. Now let's review the standard class. Like everywhere in the train, you find maps of that specific carriage so you know what facilities are where. I'm not exaggerating if I'm telling you that this might be one of the hardest trains to get lost. Also within standard class there are dedicated luggage racks throughout the train, and of course you can use the overhead luggage racks and the backhand of the last row that is not facing into the driving direction. Unlike business class that comes in a 2x1 configuration, standard class comes in a 2x2 configuration. But to be honest, I personally only found the aisles a bit narrower over here. I think when it comes to the seats, they're not that much narrower compared to the seats you can find in business class. Of course, no train tour is complete without showing you the toilets. And let's do a toilet review of the regular toilets you find quite a lot aboard of these trains. And this is how the toilets are. This is a Western style toilet and you will only find Western style toilets aboard of these trains. What I like, and I'm especially talking on behalf of a dad of a baby, is that you find a lot of diaper changing facilities on board of these trains as well. And I like to see this in general more in trains. I mean, we are planning a trip for this summer in Europe and honestly, this is one of the things care most about at this very moment. Opposite from the regular toilets, for men, you do find a urinal as well. You do find some litter bins at the vestibules, but not near the seats. However, a cleaning staff is available on these trains and will pass by every now and then to collect waste from passengers. I really like this. Now let's move on to standard class, what you obviously find most on board of these trains. And this is still a very good product if you ask me. The amount of legroom is very generous. By the way, the features that I'm mentioning here that I haven't mentioned in business class, you will also find that in business class, because business class is just a slightly better version of standard class with more leg room and a little bit more surface. At all ends of the open compartments, you do find these screens. Right next to the screens you find the carriage number, and these screens will host some route information. Once again, all route information is both in Mandarin Chinese and in English. This also counts for the automated announcements. Coat hangers are located at the sides. Seat numbers are located right above the windows, just like in business class, and also at the top edge of the seats, and this also works for blind people. Even though these trains are very well air conditioned, you might sometimes even need a coat if it's not needed outside. These trains do have blinds as well to block out some sunlight. But that wasn't needed for this trip because it was a great day. And it was a beautiful journey as well, so I'm not gonna do that. All seats do have a reading light. And also the amount of leg room in standard class is very generous. This also has to do with the fact that these seats are facing into the driving direction and can be turned around. At the sides you do find a cup holder, and integrated within the tables of the seats you do find a map that will host all facilities on board these trains. Most carriages that do have the standard class do have the same layout. And there's not that much to tell about it. Something that counts for all windows, and what I actually like is that all windows are for one specific seat only. And these windows do have quite a big armrest. Basically this is a kind of a table, so these seats do definitely pass the Dwarf Marshall elbow test. Well, within the second class, close to the area where you find the business class, there's this area over here, and this here is the accessible area, and that's also meant for people traveling with kids. Because there's simply more space for a stroller. There's not something like a special kids area or a kind of a play area for kids. But what is also next to this area is the breastfeeding room. Well, I've been on these trains before, but back then it was always closed, but now it was open. Well, personally, I think breastfeeding is one of the most natural things on earth. So having a private room for this, personally I don't think is needed. But if people like this more, well, of course, be my guest. And maybe this is also a cultural thing. Close to this area, you find the accessible toilet. So this is the bigger accessible toilet. It is bigger. Still, height. That's maybe my personal issue. It is bigger. But what I like about this toilet, and what I like about mainly all the toilets here, you find a diaper change facility. And I'm talking on behalf of a young father with kids that needs to change a diaper every now and then. Imagine I would travel alone with my kids in this train. Of course I have the bus car, but what if I need to go to the toilet myself? Of course I can go to the toilet, but where do I leave my kids? This here is great. I can that's big enough here. But this thing here is just absolutely great. I really love it for the same reason. There's also a urinal over here, but this is the bigger accessible toilet. Near the bigger accessible toilet you also find the accessible area that's also most suitable for if you're traveling with a push car, for example. And I can tell you more with the use of a voiceover. Let's continue with exploring this train for now. These modern trains. And in general I like them, they're really cool, they accelerate really fast, but can also reduce the travel time a lot. It's not only about having a high-speed train, but also about acceleration. But I have to say, I'm really tall. I know I'm way taller than average, and Asian people are in general less tall than I am. Even though I didn't find Taiwanese people small, to be honest. But one thing is, if I move through the train, and no matter what door I take, I am too tall for the door, so I need to bend over a bit. And if I stand up too early, I bump my head. And that's basically for all doors, like the toilet doors as well. If I don't go down with my head, I'm too tall. And it's also for the door when you go in and out of the train. But apart from that, these trains are really good, in my opinion.
What I haven't mentioned yet, charging facilities to charge your mobile devices are available on board of this train. There's no Wi-Fi available, even though in general the coverage in Taiwan is pretty good. So yeah, you can just use your mobile device for the data. Personally, I'm using Klook a lot, and they also do provide eSIMs, even though I didn't use it for this trip. But I do have a discount code for Klook as well. You can find it in the description of this video, and you can also use it for hotels, attractions, etc. in Taiwan. Actually, I also used it recently in the Netherlands when we went to the zoo. And yes, I used my own discount codes, because, well, I also support my channel this way. Anyway, if you're gonna use Klook or Klook, I don't know how you want to call it, you can find a link to that in the description of this video, and there's also a discount code. It's basically an affiliate link, and if you're using that, you don't only have discount, but you also support this channel a little bit, and I really appreciate that. Anyway, for the last bit of this video, I will show you some views from the train, and I'll get back to you at the very end of this video. The train will first go through some urban areas. The high-speed line at this moment terminates at Zouying, but it's planned to terminate in Pintung. This still might take some years, but eventually that will be the terminal stage for the high-speed train, and this train also calls there. In Kaoshiung, the railway line is all underground, including quite some underground railway stations, but our train only calls at 2 stations that are underground. But for now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the views from the train. Here, the train is arriving at the railway station of Taitung, the railway station I featured at the beginning of this video. Okay, that's it for this video. Once again, I really hope you liked it and or this has been helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you see this hype button below the video, please click there as well. You can even click several times on there, by the way. This also helps to, well, improve this visibility for this video for others, so maybe, well, also improve this visibility for this channel. Anyway, that's it for now. Before we really end up this video, one very last thing. Once again, thank you for watching. Related videos can be found in the description of this video. And something else you find in the description of this video is a link to a map where you find all videos as well, but then on a map. Thank you for watching and see you on the next video.